Hello everyone, I'm the J.R. Stewart, the creator of the Ways of the Caveman and the Ways of the Warrior. And of course, after this collection is done, I will start working on the Ways of the Man God. I hope that my series of video collections, the two that I've done so far, or my series of videos in those collections, have been of value to those who watch. I've done my best to gather up information that I think points to what God truly wants for us, which is to be happy, to be competent, to be real men, real women, to raise our children in the right way, and then as a man, for you to fundamentally be a caveman, and for you to evolve into a warrior, and then at some point grow into a man god. Those are the evolutionary steps. Today I want to talk about being a hero. To me, every warrior is a hero. This is one of the benefits, one of the pleasures of being a warrior. Every man wants to be a hero. Every man wants to be looked up to, admired. In fact, we need that admiration more than we need love. It helps define us. It helps us grow. Today I'm going to talk about being a warrior hero. One of the things that I do now as a motivational speaker is I read a lot of books from other motivational speakers, and that's something. And I do that in order to gain knowledge of what motivates people. How do you get people to make that first step on that journey? Start working on that project that they've put off, or how to finish what they've started. And everyone has different ideas and concepts of how to do this. And generally, this is what motivational speakers do. We come in, we speak, we make you feel good. We tell you our story of how we've been down and out, how life beat us down, and how we were able to pick ourselves up and overcome it. And then, of course, the purpose, the message that we're trying to convey to everyone else is that if a guy like me can do it, then you can do it. An ordinary guy like me, if I can do it, you can do it. And this is generally the format for motivational speakers. I'm a little different, you guys know. I too look for events. So if you're an event planner, corporate, profit, nonprofit, doesn't matter. If you need a speaker, please reach out to me. You can go to my website, thejrstewart.com, get my contact information. But in addition to that, I mean, it'd be nice to get thousands of dollars to come in and give a feel-good speech for an hour, half an hour, and then leave. The reason I'm a little different because in addition to the feel-good speeches, I actually work with people, coaching, mentoring, one-on-one, small groups, to help you make the transition from ordinary person to caveman, from caveman to warrior, and from warrior to man god, if you so choose to complete the evolution. Most men really just desire to be warriors, and certainly I can help with that. I'd be glad to work with you to become a warrior. Now that I've gotten the self-promotion out of the way, let's talk about the warrior hero. Of course, as a warrior hero, you need to be ordinary. All heroes start off in an ordinary world. There's nothing special about them. They haven't really done anything remarkable. They have some skills. Sometimes they're recognized for having a few skills that others don't have. But for the most part, they're ordinary people. And they start off ordinary. But somewhere they are inspired to do something great. They see an injustice. They recognize that something is wrong. They have the belief that they can do something great with their life. Sometimes they just aren't sure exactly what that is. But they dream. They're dreamers. Ordinary people living in an ordinary world who desire to be extraordinary. I've read tons of books. I'm a reader. Some of my favorite books, especially when I was young, were adventure stories. And even to this day, the Odyssey, to me, is the greatest adventure ever told. Man, I love that book. Of course, I've read other books. When I was in college, I discovered James Clavell. He wrote Shogun and Whirlwind and A Noble House. I love those two. And then, of course, at some point, I discovered a few female writers like Zora Neale Hurston and Charlotte Bronte and Jane Austen. I love their books also, but I love their books because they capture the authentic sentiment and feelings of the era that they're writing about. Zora Neale Hurston, she captured the dialect. And you can learn a great deal from reading their stories about what life was like, what the people were like in their stories, and I love that aspect. And there are also a few adventure stories that I've come to really love. Like for example, I read Alice in Wonderland when I was young, and I actually liked the story. I never liked the the cartoons, the animations, or some of the early movies that I saw. But the latest movie, the one that was made with Johnny Depp, and I can't think of the young lady who was the star of the movie, and that's my fault, guys. I didn't plan on talking about Alice in Wonderland. Believe it or not, these shows of mine, the message is not scripted. I get on here and I start recording. I come up with a theme of what I want to talk about, and then I just start talking about it. But I'll finish up Alice in Wonderland then, because I'm going to come back to it. Alice in Wonderland is a story about a young girl who makes her way back to Wonderland. She had been there before, she just doesn't remember. And she's an ordinary person. She lives in an ordinary world. And she's in Wonderland, and everyone kind of expects great things from her. But she doesn't see anything great about who she is. She sees herself as an ordinary person. And she's there to, I guess, save Wonderland. Now, Wonderland is ruled by two queens, two sisters, the White Queen and the Red Queen. And they both want to rule over the entire land, not half the kingdom. And they both are allowed to pick a champion. And the two champions will fight, and then whichever champion wins in the end, that queen will be in charge. Well, the White Queen chooses Alice. And the Red Queen, as we know, she chooses this fire-breathing dragon who's at least 5 stories tall, at least 50, 60 feet tall. When you see them line up, this is the biggest dragon I've ever seen. Even in TV movies, I know dragons are made up. But this dragon is so over the top. And Alice is just a teenage girl. and they're going to have a fight to the death. And of course, Alice's odds of beating the Jabberwocky in her mind is impossible. And I'm telling you this story because it just popped in my mind. But I'm telling you this story because it's a story about a person who's ordinary, who living an ordinary life like you. Ordinary person, living an ordinary life, who became a hero. And I'm going to give you the quick Reader Digest version of this, and so I'm going to move on because I have other points I want to make about being a hero. But it starts with belief. You have to believe in what you're doing. So Alice did not believe. She's going through Wonderland. She's making friends. She's seeing life with how life is with the Red Queen. Off with your head. That was one of the favorite expressions of the Red Queen. And she sees what life is like with the White Queen. Of course, she admires the White Queen. She looks up to the White Queen. And one day they're having a conversation about impossible things. Because Alice believed that her slaying the Jabberwocky is an impossible thing. Alice tells the White Queen that there's no use trying. There's no use trying. She says no one can believe in impossible things. Yeah, no one can't believe in impossible things. This is what she tells the White Queen. And of course the response is from the White Queen. She says, I dare say you haven't had much practice. And that's true. Alice hadn't had much practice in believing in impossible things. The White Queen tells her that when I was your age, she says, I always did it for half an hour a day. Could you imagine taking half an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, and to allow yourself to believe in impossible things? This is what she tells Alice. She says, why sometimes I believe in as many as 6 things, impossible things, before breakfast. I love this story. I love this segment of the story. It goes to the heart of what I believe what heroes are. Heroes believe in impossible things. Heroes dream. We allow ourselves to dream. Dream every single day of impossible things. Allow yourself to believe that you are capable of completing impossible things. So when someone tells you that you can't defeat the Jabberwocky of life, oh, you can't get that promotion, you can't get that job, you can't transition to a new career. When folks remind you about what you can't do, remember, you're the person who believes in impossible things. To learn to believe in impossible things. Find your 6 impossible things that you believe in before breakfast. So I'm going to share the 6 impossible things that Alice found herself coming to believe in just when she had to go fight the Jabberwocky. She put her armor on, she had the sword, she was prepared. And then it hit her that all this time she didn't realize that she too now believes in impossible things. The first impossible thing was that there's a potion that can make you shrink. And that the second thing was that there's a cake that can make you grow. The third thing was that animals can talk. Of course, you guys are familiar with the story. Animals do talk in Wonderland. And that there's a cat that can disappear. There's a place called Wonderland. She was having doubts. She thought she was dreaming that surely there's no place called Wonderland. But she came to believe the impossible, that there is a place called Wonderland. And then the last impossible thing that she came to believe was that she could slay the Jabberwocky. And of course, we know the story that she goes on to slay the Jabberwocky. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And as a hero, you have to have a noble cause. Your noble cause is to be the best version of you that you can be. That obedience to God helps you be the best version that you can be. That you can be that person. I don't care how bad you've been, how evil you've been. I don't care how many people have told you you're rotten to the core growing up as a child. And if that happened to you, I'm very sorry that people that was in your charge, that was in charge of providing you guidance, people you looked up to, would share such a negative outlook. Part of being the hero of your life, or being the hero of your story, is that you get a chance to be the architect. I don't care how many negative messages you have received in your life. I'm here to tell you, as an expert in building heroes, that this is the school for the better making of men. That you, and every man out there listening to my voice, has the potential to become a warrior. But you have to decide that this is what you want. This has to be your noble cause. And sometimes we have to have causes that are bigger than us. You do it for yourself. In the song, The Eye of the Tiger, I like that song, by the way. I do listen to a lot of motivational songs, and that's one of them. They have the verse that we trade our passion for glory. And that is true. The glory of your life is when you realize that you are synergized with what God has selected for you. God wants every man to be a warrior, every man to be a hero. And I know the naysayers out there, well, JR, everybody's not special like that. Everybody can't be a hero. That's not true. God has given you everything you need to be a hero. The rest is on you. One of the first places you have to start on your journey is that you first have to believe that you can be the hero, that you can do this. The next thing is you need to go find what your noble cause is. Every man, your noble cause, your adventure, your journey is to be a good husband, is to be a good father, to be a good person. We can all do this. We're all capable of taking that journey and achieving this. Fundamentally, this is what God has always intended for every man. Life is about life. I apologize for my phone. Let me turn it off. Else it's going to keep making notification sounds. Life is about life, and you have to participate in that process. You were put here, you were made in order to achieve and to help complete the process of life. Doesn't mean you go out and impregnate women and abandon them and abandon your children. What it does mean is that you find a woman you want to share your life with, your ride or die, your best friend in life. And you commit to her. You love her the right way, as the Bible outlined, by God has outlined. You are willing to sacrifice your life for your wife and your children. That's what you're here for. You're given muscles so you can grow strong and that you can fight and you can work and you can build. That's who you are. That's the caveman in you. But the warrior in you is a protector and a provider. That's what you do as a warrior. And as a man God, you inspire others. You energize others. You have the ability to do this as a father. You rejoice over your wife. You rejoice over your children. You don't let them go out into the world seeking validation from other people. You provide that validation. You're the ones who energize your wife. You let her know on a daily basis how great she is, how beautiful she is, how wonderful she is, how happy you are to have her in your life. Do you know what that does for her every single day to receive that kind of validation from her husband, the man that she loves? What wouldn't she do for this man? She would be your ride or die. Children who want to have their parents involved in their life, to validate them also, to rejoice over them, to hear positive words, how great they are, how smart they are, how talented they are, how proud you are of them for not getting involved with the wrong groups at school, not getting involved with drugs, not sneaking behind our backs to drink alcohol or to do drugs. How you somehow always manage to do the right thing even though we're not looking or around you. I just want you to know how proud I am of you, son, daughter. How I'm proud to be your father. I'm proud to tell people how great my children are. What kind of impact do you think that would have on your children? If you didn't grow up with a parent, with a father and a mother who rejoiced over you, then all I can say is that I'm sorry, but don't repeat the pattern. You break the pattern. Part of your noble cause is that you're going to do the impossible. You're going to do what people told you couldn't be done. You're going to be a positive influence on your children. You're going to be a positive influence on your wife. You're going to be the hero of your story. This is how you're going to paint that picture. This is how you're going to architect that design. This is how you're going to build a life that you want. And in the end, you'll be happy for it. The joy that God promises from being obedient will come to you. I tell this story in my speeches, and I think it's worth pointing out, that if you're given 5 minutes to live, the doctor tells you you're going to die in the next 5 minutes. And the best thing you can do is to think happy thoughts. Happy thoughts, and then you will transition into death very peacefully. Or you can stress yourself out and you can transition into death very painfully. And with those 5 minutes, what are the thoughts that you're going to have? You're going to think about the birth of your children. You're going to think about great things that have happened in your marriage, in your life. You're not going to think about the car that you drive, the clothes that you wear, the money that you have in the bank. You're not even going to think about the skins you have on the wall, the degrees, the certifications, the awards that you've won, the promotion at work. You're going to think about the people who are most important to you, the people that you love the most, and the contribution that you've made to their life, and the impact they've had on your life. That's how you're going to spend your last 5 minutes. I challenge you to start building that life today, right now. Why wait? Why wait? You don't have to wait till the last 5 minutes. You can start building that life right now. The inspiration to make change is what I'm talking about. And it doesn't matter where your inspiration comes from. Sometimes that inspiration comes from a mentor. In all of the hero stories, this is part of the formula for writing a hero epic or novel. In the Age of Heroes, heroes always have a mentor. And this comes from the Odyssey. The man who was assigned to look over the king's son was named Mentor. He taught the young prince quite a few things. And of course, in all mentor relationships, at some point the mentor has to die. And in the case of a father, you mentor your children, and you don't have to go sacrifice yourself on the altar and die. Not literally, but metaphorically you do. When your children grow up, at some point, you have to stop being their mentor. You have to let them go out into the world with the skills that you've given them. And you have to have some faith and trust in them that they've learned everything you had to teach them, and that they can take on this mission of life and they can deal with the challenges that come. You have faith in them because you understand that you've given them all the knowledge, skills, and wisdom that they need, that you have to offer, is what they're taking forward. If you haven't done this, for your children, then it speaks to your ability to be a hero. Because one of the first group of people that are going to crown you hero are your children. And I know there are men out there saying, well, JR, my father wasn't a hero to me. Okay. Well, why don't we break that cycle and you be a hero to your children? Why don't you inspire your children for greatness? You say, well, JR, I'm not that great. How can I inspire them when I haven't done anything great? You know what? Children are very funny. And they don't care about the car that you drive, the promotion at work, your paycheck. Here's what children care about: being validated by their parents. The Bible says live with your wife in understanding. It also says to praise your wife, rejoice over her, and God will rejoice over you. Well, in your household, you are the God. That's what being a man God's about. In your household, you are God. You're God's representative in that house. Just like pastor is God's representative in the church. But in your house, you're God's representative. The miracles of God come through you. You rejoice over your wife. You rejoice over your children. And if you do that, you will see the impact that you have on your children. In addition to that, you will also become a hero. See, the age of heroes is about believing in heroes once again. For people to be inspired to do something great, no matter how large or small. We don't all have to go save the kingdom. But we can all, as men, go find a prince and rescue her. There are millions of them out there, billions. Half the population is women. And every one of them needs a warrior to come rescue her. And we can all do that. We can all go find our ride or die, our wife, and rescue her. Be the warrior that she needs. It has nothing to do with how strong a woman is. It has everything to do with you being what you should be, what you're called to be, and providing a woman who appreciates having you as a real man, a real warrior in her life. So being a mentor is part of the responsibility of being a good father, part of the hero process. Because at some point, the hero has to become a mentor and then get out of the way for the next generation of heroes. This is what you do as a father, as a warrior. You're the hero to your children. Nobody's greater. No man is greater than my father, who's honest, trustworthy, who provides, who works, who takes time out to rejoice over me. Every day, spend some time with your children. Sit down, talk with them, ask them about homework. Are there any problems that you're having at school or in life that you want to talk to me about? You can tell me anything. You can tell me anything. I'm not going to pass judgment. I may not be happy about some of the things you share with me, but you can tell me anything because I'm always going to look out for your best interest. I'm always going to give you advice that's in your best interest. And so heroes have followers. And the first followers in your life are your children. Not because they have to follow you. They should be inspired to follow you. Make sure that you're living the warrior life to inspire your children. That you rejoice over them. You bless them for doing good things. You let them know the feedback that they need always. How proud you are of them. The great things they do and the bad things they do. Teach them. All punishment is not necessarily bad. Sometimes we have to endure punishment to learn. And I don't necessarily want to have to punish you all the time. So if you sit down and talk to me, let's sit down and work this out together. Let me teach you how to be a good person, how not to do bad things, how not to disappoint. And you know how children learn that lesson? By seeing you do this. You don't go through life, married life, disappointing your wife. I've said this many times in all of my videos. Every time you disappoint, every time you don't keep your word as a man, that's a cut. Women die from the Chinese torture of 1,000 cuts. They die a little bit every time you cut them. This is why they're fragile. I don't care how tough they act. The facade that I'm big and bad. Every time you disappoint, you cut because they love and trust with all their heart. There's nothing more special than the love of a woman. So don't be that man. Keep your word. Be honest. You say you're going to take the trash out, take it out. You say you're going to do something, do it. Keep your word. I had this long speech before I sort of got sidetracked with Alice in Wonderland, where I was going to talk about contracts and how people used to shake a hand. You know, a handshake in my word used to be the greatest level of honesty. People agreed, they negotiated, and then in the end they said, okay, and they shook hands to lock the deal in. Because we live in an age where people's word and handshake don't mean anything anymore, we have to write these things down on paper. You know, we have to sign contracts to outline what we're agreeing to. And I'm not sure the world is made any better by the age of contracts that have replaced the age of men being able to give their word, and their word meant something. There was a time when my word was my bond. Not anymore. And I'm not sure the world is any better that we now use contracts to agree to everything. The other part of being a warrior that's going to be on your journey is that at some point you got to face the enemy. And I've said this many times that as a warrior, your happiness is on the other side of problems. The problems of our life, that's our Jabberwocky. That's our mountain. That's our race, our destination. And we have to realize that the mountain that seems impossible to climb and cross is just a collection of rocks. That race that we need to undertake, get to the destination, the finish line, that seems impossible. It's just a collection of steps. And at some point, we have to put one foot in front of the other. We have to climb that mountain one step at a time. We have to finish that race and get to the destination one step at a time. We have to deal with the Jabberwockies of our life. But we have to believe that we can slay and do impossible things. And so, as warriors, we don't run away from our problems. We deal with them. We don't hide behind, tell them that dad's not here. We don't do that. If we can't do something, then we're going to be man enough to say that we can't do it. And when we commit to something, especially to our children, especially to our wife, those people you absolutely cannot disappoint. Absolutely. You don't give them your word that you're going to do something. You're going to be there. We're going to do this, and then don't do it. You do whatever it takes to move heaven and earth to make sure that when you give your word, especially to someone who's your follower, to your children, to your wife, that as a warrior hero, you complete that mission and you do it. The last part of being the warrior hero, well, not last, there's actually 2 more points. I just touched on part of it, is a belief that you're going to win. And so you have to make sure that you always win. That doesn't mean that you don't have setbacks. You do. You will. You don't hit the home run, a grand slam, the first time at bat. I'm pretty sure it's happened in the major leagues, but I don't think it happens that often. Most of the times we have to strike out quite a few times before we hit that grand slam, or even hit a home run, or even get on base with a hit. But it doesn't matter because we're going to keep swinging for the fence. We're going to keep chipping away until we reach our goal and our destination. And then we're going to set off on a new destination. We're going to use and be inspired by the fact that we're raising our children the right way, that we're doing great by our wife, and that we've built a really good life. We're going to be inspired to reach new heights, new challenges. We're going to be inspired to go to work now and be great at work, because greatness is now within you, and you realize that. There's nothing stopping you from greatness. Not in your family life, not in your personal life, not in your work life. You can do this. This is the last step in being a warrior hero. It's a resurrection. Jesus was resurrected. Every time a hero falls, he gets back up. He continues to move forward. In the end, he perseveres. He wins. And then he resurrects himself for the next adventure. In life as a warrior hero, the first hero mission is to win with your family, to win with your children, to win with your wife. Then you resurrect yourself, and then you win in your personal life with your friends. You win in your relationships with your family. You resurrect yourself and you win at work, in your professional life. The promotion that you were afraid to go ask for is your Jabberwocky. The new job, in order to get more money, to earn a better quality of life for your children, or to be more rewarding for you, is your next Jabberwocky. To pick up and accept a job offer, you have to relocate your family, but in the end, you know that this is going to be better for you, better for them, is your next Jabberwocky. You have to resurrect yourself to keep meeting these challenges in life. Because guess what? Until you die, there is no rest. There's always another Jabberwocky out there. And you're going to commit yourself to always meeting a challenge to deal with the Jabberwocky of your life. I hope you enjoyed this installment of Ways of the Warrior. And please watch the series. Watch the next video in the series. And if you're interested, if you want to become a warrior and you need some help, please go to my website, thejrstewart.com. My contact information is out there. I will work with you as a group, as an individual. I'll come speak at any function for organizations, profit, nonprofit, for any business, corporation, for any event planner where you need a speaker. But in addition to that, I will always be available after speaking, to work with groups and individuals who are interested in transforming their lives to become warriors, become man gods, and to see just how great your life can be and will be. I promise you that the promise of God is real. Whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't matter. The promise of God is real. God is the God of all people, believers and non-believers. And His word is bond. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.